We're back, people. We are back. Your favorite. I'm never lying when I say that. Your favorite sports podcast, roaming the airwaves, rolling with Ramos, is back. I'm the one that holds the last name Ramos. I like to specifically thank my daddy for that one, Mike Ramos in heaven. I love you. I miss you every single day. 2 is going on 3 years. I think it's crazy. Episode 124. We've been trying to go back and get the guys that we missed on specific numbers, but then there's just been some numbers that you can't give nobody else to. We can't pay homage to nobody else because this is the person that's supposed to have this number. Last week it was 123. There's only one way to do 23. That's Michael Jordan. 124. You know me like you know me. If you think you know me like you know me, Tristan, who did I go with?
The Great Mamba.
Kobe Bryant. Episode 124, the Kobe Bryant edition. You heard Tristan. We're back, baby.
Yeah, I mean, you could have gone with like the kid, Ken Griffey Jr. That would have been so, that could have been cool. But it's only right that it is the Mamba, with us being diehard Lakers fans and diehard Kobe fans. So, it was the only thing that deemed appropriate. I am glad to be back on the show again this week. We closing in on the end of 2021, so we're gonna try and end this thing with a bang. And I'm definitely excited for the guest that we have that you're about to introduce. I'm definitely excited that she's on here. So let's get right into it.
I think we did King Griffey Jr. for the first go round.
We did for the first go round. Yeah.
We did for the first go round. Speaking of guests, she's sitting in front of me. I finally got a hold of her on a Thursday. We were just talking about that. The powers that be let her be free on a Thursday. I had to call up my homegirl from Philly, Renee. Washington, you're rolling with Ramos.
Hey y'all, I'm so happy this has finally worked out. I think it's been about a year maybe that we've been trying to make
Yeah.
this happen.
I ain't got no
I
eyes. You
am
see, I made them
excited.
bigger. Okay.
No, literally like a year. That's not an exaggeration.
Not an exaggeration.
Not exaggeration, people. Y'all think this is easy getting people together. People got other shows. We got other people got time to
People
do.
are busy.
People busy. So when I'm on here saying I had my people calling people and they finally answer, I'm telling the truth. You know what I'm saying? Let's get right into this thing. Renee, you ready to go?
Let's do it.
Okay, so I typically do because the way we gotta get the show, I organize the show today. Sometimes I'll do the first 4 games in the NFL season. I mean, of the NFL week, and then throughout the show we do the next 4, and so on until we finish in the middle of what we're talking about. Typically, I tell Tristan to stop me when he wants to stop me. So that's our little game I'm giving to you. Top
Awesome.
first 4 of the NFL scores. The Cowboys, they had another Thursday night game. They got a Sunday game too. These bums. Anyways, Cowboys and Saints. 27-17. The Cowboys, Tristan, you said that was a must win. They beat them 27-17. New Orleans has lost 5 straight games in the season for the first time in the Sean Payton era.
Go ahead, Renee. You ladies first.
I'm so sick of these Cowboys. Look, I was hoping the Saints would pull this one out. It's just been painful. They had been playing so well, and you talk about that 5 game losing streak. You have Jameis Winston go down. It just seems like everything was going in their favor, and then it was that. And I really had high hopes for them pulling off this win, getting back in the win column. The Cowboys, I got to hand it to them. They are playing. They're playing well. Like whatever. Pains me to say it. It hurts me every time I see them come across my screen with a win as an Eagles fan. And look, this is a team that honestly in the NFC is a team to watch out for. Now I'm still hoping that somehow, whether Washington or the Eagles, someone can make some noise in this division. But overall, for the Cowboys, I hate to say it, but they're having a pretty good season to say the least.
Am I hating when I say it's been kind of up and down for me looking at them? But anyways, Tristan, I move on? Or you want to say something about this one?
So even though I said that this would be like a must-win situation, let's be very, very clear. The Saints are not the Saints. The Saints are the Aints right now.
Yeah.
No Michael Thomas, no Alvin Kamara, no Jameis Winston. We don't know what they want to do with Taysom Hill and Trevor Simeon. So yeah, it was a must win for the Cowboys, but it was a win that they should have won because who were you playing against? You were basically playing the JV team of the Saints, and so the Cowboys are all talking trash and being so confident. Mike McCarthy out of here guaranteeing wins now out of the blue. Yeah, I mean, it's like what can you say? But the Cowboys just need to keep things in perspective. Understand that that was a game you should have won. So congratulations, golf clap. And we'll see what happens this Sunday with Washington. But that's all I got for that.
I hope it comes down to the last 2 minutes. Taylor Heineke, you are great in 2 minutes. Do you think this man cannot play 30 minutes of football? But the last 2 minutes, no, he's growing on me. I'm starting to like him. I've been like him, but he's starting to. That's going to be a big game in NFC East. I'm sorry, Renee. I keep looking at the back of your wall there, and it is you. How legit you have to be to have you on your wall? I mean, come on. Oh, anyways,
We all want to be
we
Renee when
all
we
want
grow up.
us on the wall. She got a
Look,
whole
I
she
stole
got a
this.
whole card collection of her on her wall. I'm just oh man.
I stole
Anyway,
it from my parents' house. It's me when the parents always had this stuff hanging up, and I was like, no, I need this. I need to take. It's when I was like 11 playing soccer. I'm like, I
uh,
need. It's a banner. Yeah, so that's what it is.
Banner blimp, you got you on your wall. Anyways, Giants, Dolphins. The Giants lose to the Dolphins 9-20. Miami has won 5 straight. Started the season 1-7.
I ain't got much for them.
I don't have much for either of these two.
Yeah, Gettleman just needs to be fired at the end of the season. That's really all
Big
I got for
Time to
that.
clean house.
Yeah.
big old donut in Texan Town. The Colts beat the Texans 31-0 in Indiana. They're the first shutout on the road since week 14. Everybody, guess what date that is?
What's that?
What year it was?
2016.
Tristan.
Mm, 17?
Y'all are such millennials because that's the wrong answer. Indiana has first shutout on the road since week 14. I think I was 1992,
Oh,
maybe four.
Oh, oh,
that's
Maybe
really
four.
yeah.
oh. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we were a little off to say the least.
Just
Look,
a
I
smidge.
I always have a soft spot for the Colts since they've got my former quarterback Carson Wentz.
Yes.
And this was again much like the Saints Cowboys game. This was a game I expected them to win. Didn't know how they were going to win it. I wasn't expecting them to shut them out, but the Texans are another team that's just
Dumpster fire.
The
complete
whole
dumpster
damn
fire.
Houston Athletics.
Guaranteed dub.
The Rockets. You just what happened to
Houston's on
Houston?
fire right now, actually.
And it ain't the
All
Heat.
sports. No.
Yeah, I for the Colts. Well, right now I have Jonathan Taylor as my MVP. Just with what he's doing, he's really carrying the team. They're not asking a lot of Carson. He's just got to make maybe 3, 4 really good throws in a game, and once he does that, he's pretty solid. So for what they got going on for Jonathan Taylor to be the bell cow, which I expected. I don't understand why people were like oblivious. This guy was a Heisman finalist for like 2 years. Like he was no slouch. So I don't know, but who am I? But Jonathan Taylor is definitely a dog, and as long as they run the football, Carson makes the necessary plays when he has to, and they play solid defense. I mean, it's a good formula for them, and helping to get Carson Wentz confidence back as a quarterback.
Last one we're gonna talk about. We gotta talk about you, Renee. Here we go. The Eagles beat the Jets 33-18. Philly 12-0 all time versus the New York Jets. Most wins without loss in any all time series.
They better had beat the Jets. Okay. That's it. Like, period. So, look, I know now it's led to the whole quarterback question, and forget it. It's the Jets. This is a game that we expect you to win, even if Jalen Hurts is not playing. I'm happy that he got a chance to rest And I'm happy for Gardner Minshew too to play so well. But he's QB2, and that's how that's going to stay. But look, honestly, they played very well. I'm excited by the way that the Eagles are getting over the hump, and it's a young team. Their best players. You look at Jalen Hurts, Devontae Smith. Their better players are young, rookie, second year players. Jalen didn't play a full season last year, so I'm keeping things in a perspective. This is a game that, to me, you have to win it because this season as a whole, there's been a lot of fluke losses and teams that have lost games that they shouldn't have. So take care of business. No, there's no guaranteed win this season. They did that, and the quarterback debate is not a debate. So thank you for handling business, Eagles. Finally,
How have you
and do it
reacted
against the
to?
Giants.
Yes. How how have you reacted to the criticism? You talk about a young team. You talk about Jalen Hurts being young. How have you reacted to the criticism Jalen Hurts has been receiving? One bad game and it's thrown on the bench. And how have you reacted to
People are
criticism?
just so unaware, just so unaware. Jalen Hurts is a quarterback that we've seen at the college level and in the time that he played last year that has proven he is a player that can lead a team. And for us to assume that just because he got thrown in the last games of last season, he's going to come into this season and now make a jump into what? The team as a whole is working through a lot. There's obviously been a lot of major changes, and like I said, it's a young group. You've got a new head coach in Nick Sirianni. Your star players are all under 3 years. So what do you expect? They don't have snaps in the NFL. It's going to take time, and even the chemistry takes time. The confidence takes time. It's not even just about the talent; it's about the mental aspect of it as well. We talked about it with Carson Wentz in Indianapolis with the Colts. It takes time for especially quarterbacks to get that confidence, when you are leading a team every single game. So if the Eagles have one bad game or Jalen Hurts has one bad game, I think back there were, of course, games they should have won, like the 49ers game, where there's a penalty and there's mistakes in the red zone. It's going to happen. If this is 5, 6 years in and we're still having these issues, yeah, then I'm sounding the alarms. But right now, absolutely not. Got to be patient. You can't be so quick to just like move off of a player because they're human. They're going to have to take time to work through the transition. There are so many things new in Philadelphia. So it's going to take time. And I didn't expect this year to be a year they're going to run through, teams and run through the NFC East. I expected it to be next year is the goal. At the latest, the year after that. But I'm thinking next year is going to be a big year for Philly. So this year I'll take what we can get. If we can possibly get a wild card spot, cool. But I'm not. My expectations are just focused on being consistent and minimizing penalties and turnovers. They're running the ball well. They're looking good. So people that are ready to throw Jalen Hurts under the bench, yeah, they don't know what they're talking about.
It's crazy how quickly the years go by. This was just a Super Bowl team, and here we are talking about a new. Tristan, anything?
I feel the same way that Renee feels in regards to Jalen Hurts. I really don't recall a player that gets so much doubt thrown their way when it's unwarranted, the way Jalen has so early in his career. I understand this is not the coaching staff that drafted him. I get all that, but at the same token, Jalen is has proven he's had some games where he's been the reason that they won. It wasn't like he was just going along for the ride. Like he has been the player, and if nothing else, he's shown that he's a playmaker. And if you get a guy that's a playmaker and that can develop, and you can see that he can develop, then you got to keep going and seeing what they can do. I really think, and this is not even just with the Eagles, but just overall, I think these franchises really do a disservice to a lot of these rookie QBs when they come out, and we get to the time where it's contract time, where you're trying to make a decision whether or not you're going to give the player an extension or not. And what's happening is that with the first 3 4 years that you had them as a rookie on their rookie deal, you didn't do anything with the team to help them
Exactly.
to get better.
Yeah.
So now you're looking. The perfect example, other than the Eagles with Jalen, is over there in Cleveland. Cleveland, he's had four coordinators. He's had three different head coaches. You have to give Baker time to settle in with the system and the coaching. And he's been hurt this year, but they're ready to cast him out. It doesn't make sense to me. So for Jalen, I want Jalen to keep balling. I'm happy for Gardner Minshew because I feel like the Jaguars did him a disservice as well. But it is Jalen's team. Philadelphia needs to get behind that, as in the team, because it seems like the fans are all for it. It seems like it's the front office that's like, I don't know yet. I mean, what other option do you have? This next class is not a class where there's a can't miss prospect. There's no Trevor Lawrence in this class. There's no Joe Burrow in this class. So this is not the time to try to look and see what else is out there. Do what you can. Build your team. Give him an offensive line that he can work with and that Miles Sanders can work with. Get him other weapons other than Devontae Smith because y'all really whiffed on taking Rieger and missing out on Justin Jefferson. Good God, could you
Don't
imagine?
remind me.
Could you imagine? So I mean, continue to build your defense up. Get more pieces on the defensive side of the ball. Like build your team, and let's see what Jalen does with that. People
And
also
then
got to
you
remember he's a multi-champion as a starting quarterback in college. Like this is not a slouch kid.
No. I have to jump back in. I'm sorry, Mikkel, because
go
you
ahead.
hit it exactly right, Tristan, in that we so many times see people that are so short minded and think just because you plug in a player, things are suddenly magically supposed to change. You know, if you're the Jaguars, if you're the Eagles, if you're the Bears, you're supposed to just plug in a quarterback and suddenly now your team is going to do what? Meanwhile, especially in football, you still need to have a defense. Your special teams has to be able to do that. You need receivers. You need to be able to run the ball. You need more than just a quarterback. And across sports, because it's not just football. I know we're going to get into basketball stuff too and looking at the Lakers specifically.
Oh
Across
God.
sports, I don't care who you are talking about. When you bring in new, it takes time, whether that's new coaches, new players, even star players. The best players in the sport can't just jump right into a team and now you're winning a championship unless it's the Warriors with Kevin Durant coming in. That was already a top team winning a championship.
Right.
So if you are trying to go from being a middle or anything lower than that pack team in a league, plugging in a player doesn't just magically make you suddenly the best team. So that whole storyline, because we saw it with the Nets, we've seen it with the Clippers in basketball, we've seen it in football. We do this, not we, because I don't do this, but a lot of people do this too many times to make plug in and now suddenly you're a champion.
Yeah.
No. So
Yeah.
I agree with you. Build. It takes time to build a lot of pieces.
I just want to say that there's nowhere that Kevin Durant was supposed to go. Tristan, go jump off a
He
bridge.
could go anywhere.
Anyways,
He
just
could
go
go
jump
anywhere
No,
off
but
a
Golden State.
bridge.
agreed.
And that I
Anywhere
got
but Golden State.
Anywhere but the team that beat you and
go off.
already was winning
Both y'all could go.
championships.
Both y'all can go off a cliff. There was nowhere else that he could go to get the chip. He
You
would have.
went
It just
to
would
a
have been
team.
cute.
You went to a team
We're not
that
gonna do
eliminated
this. We
you
got other places to
the
go.
year
But
before.
I'm
You didn't
going
even
to
give it a
Fell
tell
out.
year.
you.
Ooh.
I
You
Maybe
am
it
didn't
was
going
even
to
that
give it a
year.
tell you.
year
There was he.
to
We
let
can't
the
tell
wound
these
heal.
guys you want it now. Give it to me now. What are you doing? You were
Mm-mm.
standing
You
over there
didn't.
suffocating,
You
and then
It's a
didn't
you go
even
gold
give
in and
it.
digger.
gets the chip. He wins
You
one,
It's a
didn't
gold
and
digger
even.
you
move.
told him
You
he
didn't
wasn't
even give it a
supposed to go.
season. You didn't even
Come
give it a
on
You
season
now.
gave it
to
like a
heal
Anyway,
day.
a
he
day,
was
and just
well.
like, oh, I'm gonna go over there
Chicago would
with
have
you
been
guys.
Chicago
Oh
would have been
man, we
cute.
lost. We got knocked out of the playoffs. Oh wait, can I come to your team?
Can I go?
Chicago
Can
would have
I
been
join
cute,
you?
but he wouldn't have won a chip. I'm sorry, I don't
Trash.
agree.
The
Anyways, drop
worst
those
decision I've ever
comments
seen from a
down below.
superstar.
Make sure you talk to us. That's the only place he could have got. Anyways, we're gonna go into some golf, people. Tiger Woods, y'all. Tiger Woods will play his first official tournament next week, nearly 10 months to the day of the single car crash in California that nearly cost him his right leg. In a statement on Twitter, Woods announced he will play at the PNC Championship starting December 16th alongside his son Charlie. Although it has been a long and challenging year, I am very excited to close it out by competing in the PNC Championship with my son Charlie. I'm playing as a dad and couldn't be more excited and proud. Speaking to reporters last week leading up to the Hero World Challenge, Woods acknowledged he wants to play on the PGA Tour again, even though he doesn't have any desire to be a full time member of the circuit. I don't foresee this leg ever being what it used to be. Hence, I'll never have the back what it used to be. And the clock's ticking. I'm getting older. I'm not getting any younger. All that combined means that a full schedule and the recovery that it would take to do that, no, I don't have any desire to do that. But to ramp up a few events a year, there's no reason that I can't do that and feel ready. This will mark the second consecutive appearance at the PNC Championship for the Woods duo. They finished seventh in last year's tournament, but Charlie stole the show with an eagle on the par. Tiger Woods. He's not coming back full time, but he's coming back. How is it going to feel to actually see him walking the green? It's going to be with his son.
Go ahead, Renee. You
I,
can answer that.
I love it. I love it. First of all, Tiger looks jacked. Okay, I don't know if y'all have seen him lately, but although he couldn't maybe work out as much with that leg injury, he's clearly been doing some upper body working out. Okay, because he's like, I don't care that he's late 30s. He's looking a little chiseled. But also, I think this is the evolution of yes, Tiger Woods, y'all.
Yeah.
This is the evolution of athletes, and I respect it. And I think it just allows for fans to be able to see him in that next stage. Instead of being Tiger that's winning, the Masters or winning everything, you're now Tiger that is with your son. You're Tiger the dad. You're Tiger that's like you're doing this on like a part-time basis now just for fun. It's not about him winning. It's not about PGA tours and things like that. He understands, as you mentioned, between aging, his injury behind that terrible car accident in February, that he's not the same and he's not going to get back to being the same. So rather than just there's a lot of directions he could have taken this. He could have tried to go back to being Tiger, that's full time running all over the place, which wouldn't have helped and worked. Or he could just walk away altogether. And I don't think either of those options make sense. He can still golf. He's still a very good golfer. And now to have his 12-year-old son, Charlie, which is a cute father son duo in itself, out there on the green with him, it gives him some memories that are different. It's not just about championships, as we talk about before, and we've been talking about. It's not just about championships. This is something that him and his son can cherish forever, to have these moments together, to play together. It's exciting. It's cute, and I think it's needed just to remind people that athletes are more than just championship chasing athletes, but people that also want to enjoy just doing what they love.
Tristan, when the first not the images, but when the first news of Tiger Woods in that car crash came out, you know how you guys look at your phone and you don't really look at it, and then you see breaking Tiger Woods car crash. I was like, wait a minute, let me open this real quick. Mind you, we hadn't even gotten to a year after Kobe passed away. He almost lost his life. Forget a leg. He almost lost the ability to even be here anymore. And imagine losing two legends in a span of a year. That would have been crazy for athletics. Some would say that this is an opening perspective. We're looking at an older Tiger, looking at a perspective and seeing that he could have not have been here altogether. I think he said that without saying it.
Mm-hmm.
Or we could a lot of people looked at it as defeat, because we've never seen Tiger say, look, I gave you what I gave you. In the event, though, that a lot of people would say it's a defeat on his legacy. Why not be the Tiger that we think you are and roar back in and forget the leg and forget the back? And because for a time he was trying to come back and it just wasn't resonating. Tiger Woods owes golf nothing, does he, Tristan?
No, he doesn't owe golf anything, especially with returning in this form. This is to me. This is, and I think I can speak for both of you guys, because we're all in the same age bracket. So we watched the beginning till now of Tiger Woods, and this just seems full circle to me. From when his father had him out there at a very young age, playing golf, and we watched how that evolution, you know, progressed, and him becoming the arguably the most dangerous athlete on the planet in his apex, and you know he went through tragedy before. Well, not went through tragedy, but went through hardships before, and got through that, came back, was able to get another green jacket when when we thought he's past his prime. We seeing the Rory McIlroys of the world and all these other young guys out there he was still able to get another green jacket, and it was a feel good story. And then we hear about the car accident, and I think for all of us it's just like, man, we can't, we're so thankful that he's alive, but we're also like, man, is this the way he gonna go out? So for him to, even though he's not competing, but for him to be able to be back on that golf course and be with his son and play with his son, for me, it's the full circle. Like, I'm looking forward to seeing it because it's
Mhm.
going to give me that feeling of this is a completed career. This is a completed career. I know, the goal was to surpass Nicholas. I get it, but this will feel complete. And if I was in Tiger's corner, if I was one of his close friends, I'd tell him after, it'd be like, hey man, you 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 should feel good about how this is closing out. You should feel really good. You should be proud of yourself for what you put in, the work that you put in for it. So I'm happy. I was glad to hear that he was going to do it. I'm very happy about it. I'm so glad that his body is well enough for him to be able to do this. I knew he was never going to be able to compete again. That was for sure. But the fact that his body is healthy enough to do this is it's going to be something to see. I can't wait to see it.
Mhm.
Plus, I think we underestimate sports that are non-contact. This man was doing this by himself for
Yeah,
years. You know how hard it is to swing that golf club and
at
hit
the
it
power that he
miles and
has. Yeah,
miles,
The
and the
power.
power,
Mhm.
yeah,
the alignment that your back, everything, your legs, everything has to be in accord. Come on, people.
yeah,
I love that. I love that point, Mikkel, because I think it is definitely just a reminder. Like, we often get caught up in, he makes it look so easy, right? Athletes make it look so easy because they're so talented. But when
yes,
you look at all that he's been through over 20, 30 years with the messy divorce and his personal life on display, the several surgeries he's had, back injuries, the car accident, he has been through a lot, and he physically and mentally has been through a lot, and he's been open about that as well. So I
yes,
think it makes more sense. This is the Tiger Woods farewell tour.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. This is his farewell tour. This is the passing of the torch to his son and to the next generation that
for
he's
sure.
about to be done. So this is the opportunity. People will still want to watch. People will still want to see him. It's kind of like every other athlete that we've seen in their final year of being able to see, you get to go see them one last time. This is what it is for Tiger. But I do think it would have been worse if he had tried to unrealistically still compete at a high level and couldn't. I think that actually would have been worse than him openly saying, I don't
Yes,
have it anymore. I'm older. I'm done. I'm just going to do this, more part time with my son, more for the enjoyment of it. So I like his perspective and the maturity of him being able to say that, because it is hard for when you have so many years of competing at such a high level to be able to bow out gracefully. So I respect his decision to do so. And I think that people have to understand he's still one of the greatest. What he does in this last however many months, however long he still has left, is not going to diminish all the success he's had over the decades of being one of the greatest athletes, not even just golfers, athletes of all time. So if anybody thinks anything less, you're foolish.
Yeah.
absolutely,
People
absolutely.
like scrutiny and they would have watched them and when is he going to hang it up?
Yeah.
We, even us as media, stop telling people when to hang up their shoes. We have not done it. It's hard to walk away from something you've done for years.
Yeah,
That's why you have the dear basketballs and all that, because that's your life right there.
yeah.
Speaking of life, we go back down in real time to talk about some more NFL. The Cardinals and the Bears. The Cardinals beat the Bears 33-22. Arizona 7-0 on the road this season. Each win by 10 points or more.
Hey, Cliff Kingsbury is going to end up being coach of the year, and I'm one that criticized the mess out of Kingsbury. I criticized him when he came into the NFL. I thought he'd have been washed out, bringing that air raid offense to the NFL. I really thought people would, defenses would have really caught up to that by now. But Arizona did what most teams won't do. You got a head coach. The head coach told you, if you give me this guy, I'll give you wins. And that's what they did. They were like, forget the fact that we took Josh Rosen in the top 10 the year before. Forget that. If you want this is what you want. This is the guy you want. This is the guy that can run your system the best. Then that's what we're gonna do. Oh, you need another receiver? All right, let's go ahead and get DeAndre Hopkins. Oh, you want another receiver? Oh, let's go ahead and get you AJ Green. So you got Christian Kirk, AJ Green, and D Hop. And at the time you had Larry Fitzgerald, and they're doing exactly what they're supposed to do. Oh, we need to bolster our defense. Okay, let's go get JJ. Let's get JJ. He might not be the JJ Watt in his prime, but he's still going to give us something. Let's get him that pairing with Chandler Jones. Chandler Jones finally got somebody on the other side to pay attention, to other than him. Let's go do that. And listen, this is not a fluke. Like Arizona's here to hang for a while. It is a young team. Like the core of them is young, and they're only going to get better. Like I love to see teams that are kind of somewhat completed because it makes it easy for them to go into the draft and go into free agency to see what they need. Like so, their needs for them is really going to be on the defensive side of the ball. They can focus their energy there. Maybe they'll go for a tight. Maybe they'll go for a tight end. Maybe, but I mean, they got Zach Ertz. He still got some wheels left in him. Sorry, Renee. I know it's probably still a soft
Uh,
spot for you.
that hurt me. I wasn't
That
used to
hurt.
not seeing Zach Ertz in no Eagles uniform.
Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. So they can literally focus on the defense side of the ball to bolster their defense, which will make them more dangerous in a division where Sean McVay might have looks like he might have bitten off a little more than he can chew with his team. You got the 49ers. They're probably going to do away with Jimmy and start Trey Lance. So basically, you're going to look at a kid in his rookie year, basically, when he gets a starting job. And then you got the Seahawks, who are not sure if they're going to have Russell Wilson next year. So this is the time for Arizona to really make some noise within their division and within the NFC conference for real.
You have anything to add, there? Can I move on?
I have been in the Cardinals corner from day one.
You
I
have.
had them as a team
You
that if they
have.
didn't win the NFC West, that they would at least be able to make honestly a deep playoff run as a wild card. And honestly, to see the way that Kyler Murray, he's a different type of player. And so when you do build around him, of course, that the move bringing in Zach Ertz hurts me to my core. But I'm like, look, Arizona is doing all the right things. As you were just saying, Tristan, they brought in all the right pieces. And when you have that around a young quarterback that you can now build a franchise around, this is what other teams need to take note of. This is how you build a team. The Cardinals definitely should be a top NFC team. And that's all I got on them. I think you will see them come NFC championship time. I expect to see the Cardinals still there.
You think he's worried about that MLB money now? Hi, I told him he couldn't play football. Look at him now. Anyways,
Right. Right.
Chargers Bengals. The Chargers beat the Bengals 41-22. The LA Chargers I be forgetting they in LA. I ain't gonna hold you. Anyways, LA Chargers
Still
most
bothers me.
sacks, 6 in a game since week 16. You millennials want 20 something something. 2016.
And I knew 2016. I just had the wrong question, but I knew it.
There you go. There you go. There you go. There you
Yep,
go.
Right
we'll
answer,
roll
wrong
with it.
question.
There you go. There you go. As far let me say this real quick about the Chargers. You fired Anthony Lynn because you said that Anthony Lynn did not push Justin Herbert enough. You wanted him to go to another level. You wanted the offense overall to go to another level with this team. The team looks the exact same way. It looks the same. It looks the same as when he was there. So what are you telling me? You start off hot, Chargers looking like a force to be reckoned with, and then out of nowhere, you just start teetering, and then you falter. Like the Bengals are learning how to be a consistent winning franchise again. Like that's what the Bengals are doing. So I don't count this whole thing with the Bengals. I don't count that. They're trying to figure it out. They're a young team that's going to slowly keep going, keep maturing. They're doing the right things as well. They're getting the offensive line together. They're getting the defense together. Joe Mixon is a dog. Joe Burrow clearly proven that he was supposed to be the number one overall pick. Jamar Chase is looking like TO 2.0. So they're doing what they're supposed to do. The Chargers should have been. And I don't know what it is about the Chargers. They should have been in a position where you're looking at them in the AFC and like, man, they got a shot to go to the championship. Man, they got a shot to go to the Super Bowl. Like they should have been there because on paper, when you go down the roster for the Chargers, you're like, oh, how many wins y'all got this season? Where are y'all standing in this? You got Justin Herbert, Eckler, Michael Williams, Keenan Allen. I don't know why y'all let Hunter Henry walk out the door. That was silly. Then you go on the defense side of the ball. You got Joey Bosa. You shouldn't have let Melvin Ingram walk out the door. But then you had Derwin James. You have pieces where you should be a lot better than what you are, and you're not. And y'all said it was the head coach's fault, but y'all in the same spot. So I don't know what it is about the Chargers, and y'all need to go back to San Diego. I don't know what it is about the Chargers
Come
at all.
on.
They need to go back to San Diego. They have no business being in LA. They ain't got no
Carmen,
fans. They ain't got no
Carmen stayed
fans.
San Diego.
Do y'all watch?
Carmen.
Do y'all watch the crowds for Chargers? They ain't got no fans.
Well, there's too many teams in LA. Okay, every league does not have to have two LA teams.
They're confused.
Enough,
They're like, do I go for
enough.
the Rams? Do I go for the Char? What do I
Yeah,
do?
The
Like
Rams look like
there
Madison
needs to
Square Garden on a Sunday. You see that press box, LeBron and them hanging out. I be seeing pictures of Jamel Hill and them out there. They don't even know that the Chargers
yeah, everybody's
exist,
at the
brother.
Rams games.
And they
Nobody's at the
move
Chargers
first.
games.
the Chargers are like the Clippers of the NFL
They are.
over
How you
there.
move there first and nobody remembers you?
Nobody thinks about you, but you leave San Diego. Makes no sense to me. Makes no sense.
Oh man, I think there needs to be a rule. Stop having more than one franchise in the same city. There are enough cities in this country, and look, going to Canada. There are enough cities that you don't have to have two LA teams in the NFL, two LA teams in the NBA. Then, of course, they have teams in every other sport as well. Enough. Soccer, same issue. Enough. Look, I think this has been a reality check for the few Chargers fans that do exist. That
Uh-huh.
the
The
Chargers
very
and
few.
the Chargers
Shout out
are
to
in
my
the
cousin.
same spot as the Bengals, as well as even the Washington football team. They're not. Look, I understand. We go. A lot of people are riding the Justin Herbert wave. He had a tremendous rookie season. Obviously, deserved every accolade he got, and it is exciting to watch. But I think that this is a team that is a couple years out. And I was
Yes.
saying it from the beginning again that the success we saw early on the season, you got to take that with a grain of salt. They came out the gate hot. They didn't have preseason games. Everybody's wondering, oh, what are they going to look like? They looked great in those opening games. But I just think that the Chargers, much like the Bengals, with a young quarterback and a young building franchise with still changes, it's going to take them time to get over that hump. So that's why, to me, like, I think the Bengals are doing all the right things. I
Yeah.
love watching Joe Burrow. I love watching Jamar Chase. T. Higgins is a great addition for them. They have a lot of young talent. I'm gonna put them in the category with the Eagles. That next tier of teams is exciting. And so, if anybody was mistaken the Chargers as this year's as a top 4 or 5 team because they started off on a great run in the opening games, you're wrong. So I
Yeah.
think it has just been a reality check. Look, the season is not won in 3 weeks. It's a long season. And even now, we don't know what's going to happen. It's early, it's mid-December. We don't know what's going to happen this next month as teams are making a push for the playoffs. So teams like the Chargers, much like the Bengals, the Eagles, Washington, there's a core in that middle group. They're competitive. They might upset some top teams, but they're not a top team yet. Okay, so if you are thinking otherwise, this is the reality check that the Chargers are about a year out from really being a team that consistently can compete with the top teams in the league.
Speaking of reality checks, nice word, verbiage. You gave it to me. Anyway, speaking of reality checks, if you thought that Bill Belichick wasn't gonna be nothing
Man.
without Tom Brady, they talking about a Buccaneers Patriots Super Bowl already. How big would that be? Anyways,
Man.
Buccaneers beat the Falcons 30-17. Tom Brady is 10-0 career record, has a 10-0 career record versus Atlanta. That's including the playoffs, including one important game. We're not going to talk about that one, are we?
We
I
not.
thought
We
it was
gonna leave it
so
alone.
disrespectful that they put 28
Ouch.
to 0 in the damn ring.
I thought it was
Oh,
appropriate.
anyways, Can we stay there or can we move forward? I got one more
Move
game.
on.
Jaguars Rams 7-37. The Rams destroyed the Jaguars. LA Rams largest win since week 2. You get another millennial year, 2018.
Let me say something about the Jaguars. Yeah.
You're laughing.
Oh no.
Because I'm laughing because all these coaching candidates in the NFL, all these guys that have been busting their butt to get a chance to be a head coach, and y'all over here gonna put in Urban Meyer.
That's what they get.
And from the moment that he stepped foot in this good NFL league, all he's done was hire someone that was a potential pedophile and abuser, made people threaten employment of staff and players if they didn't get the vaccine, went to a club. No, no, no. Before then, brought in Tim Tebow, who's never played tight end ever in life, as a
Yep.
sideshow. Then get caught in a club with some college blonde to the point where you had to go to the team and make an apology. Didn't want to declare Trevor Lawrence the starting quarterback, even though we all knew he was the starter. So he didn't get the proper reps he should have got. And you didn't do anything else with your draft picks. You basically wasted draft picks for players that you have no business you had no business using. You drafted ATN from Clemson when you had Robinson there already. And Etienne got hurt before we could even see what he can do. And now you're in a position where Robinson might be looking to leave. So we don't know where this is going to go for y'all. Um,
So much for the Rooney Rule. Just
yeah,
saying.
yeah. Listen, if Herb, it's at least got to be in question whether or not Urban should be fired. It's got to at least be in question. I don't understand how y'all can go another 4 or 5 years of this work. Trevor Lawrence, who's supposed to be a generational QB, don't look generational. And I can't even blame him because the team is so dysfunctional.
How long is it going to take for you to be on the Jaguars Twitter and getting deleted?
Mm, probably by this weekend. You
All
know,
right, great.
probably by this weekend. Probably by this weekend, I'll probably get blocked for sure.
No, no.
I've been blocked by a few people and a few teams already. But
That's pretty bad.
hey,
You
listen,
got to go pretty far to get blocked fully by
li-
a team.
hey, listen. I just try to speak the
That's
truth.
about all the trolls. Wait a minute now.
I just try to
I,
speak the truth. I just try to speak the
I,
truth. Sometimes they can't handle. That's what Jack Nicholson said. You can't handle the truth, and that's what happens. Um, so I don't know, man. The Jaguars, they got to do something different. Get somebody like Eric Bieniemy down there or something. Y'all got to do something different. Y'all got to do something different.
We go into some, unless you got something to say, Renee, we go into something different. Let's talk about some boxing, shall we? Tank. I'm sitting in Baltimore. Tank, Javante Tank Davis versus Isaac Cruz. Javante Davis injures his hand, retains secondary WBA title with tough decision win versus Isaac Cruz. Davis, 26-0, 24 KOs. Didn't deliver the kind of spectacular performance fans were expecting, but he retained his secondary WBA lightweight title with a tougher than expected unanimous decision victory over Cruz on Sunday before an announced attendance of 15,580 at Staples Center. Two judges scored it 115 to 113 with a third tally of 116 to 112 for the Baltimore native. This was the first Davis was extended to the 12th round distance. The 27-year-old's only other decision victory, a six-rounder in 2014, his ninth pro fight. I hurt my hand, so I couldn't get him out of there, said Davis. Southpaw, who barely threw a left hand over the final 2 rounds. He's a shorter fighter, so I was throwing down on the top of his head. I hit him with my knuckle and messed it up. I hurt my hand in the 6th round. The extent of the injury, how it impacted him, is unclear at this juncture, but it's apparent that Davis failed to impress at a time when the lightweight division is hotter than ever. One day earlier, Devin Haney proved his mettle with a win over Joseph Diaz Jr. And last week, George Cambosos Jr. stunned Teofimo Lopez to win the undisputed lightweight championship in the most impressive performance of the bunch. Either guy is easy work. Easy work, man, says Javante Tank Davis of Ryan Garcia, Cambosos, and Haney. I'm the top guy. When it comes to star power, there is no doubt he is. But on Sunday night, Cruz gave Davis fits. He did so by applying pressure accompanied by a focused body attack, particularly a left hook that Cruz sunk to the liver. But oftentimes, Cruz was simply following Davis around the ring. Pitbull rarely utilized a jab to close distance. Instead, he elected to plow forward and wing wild shots. He connected on just 9 jabs in the Showtime pay-per-view main event. Davis landed 20. The difference in the fight was Davis's cleaner punching and distance control. The former 130-pound title holder usually fights for more aggressively, but against Cruz, he chose to box off the back foot and attempted to use his opponent's aggression against him. Time and again, Davis was able to lead Cruz into a damaging counter left uppercut. When Davis landed that punch against Leo Santa Cruz last October, people, he produced one of the best knockouts of 2020. A lot of people are not loving this fight by Javante Tank Davis, but he gets it done. Guys, the scorecard get it right. And another thing, a lot of people out there saying that, hey, Javante claims to be the greatest. He wants to go out there and be the greatest. On one end, you got Floyd Mayweather in your corner. That's one hell of a thing to have. On the other end, how much of Floyd's career is he making Javante's now? Because if you want to be the greatest, you got to fight the greatest. Is he not giving Javante Tank Davis a chance by the way he's been constructing and helping him out? Is it time for him to get out of the way a little bit? Step to the side. He got to fight Garcia. Ladies, gentlemen, I
Church,
leave
I'm
the
going to
floor
go
to
first
you.
on this one.
Okay. So here's my thought. First of all, I did watch the fight. Um, I was hurting the next day because man, to wait for the main event is that's rough, man. That's rough when you
It's
got to get up early in the morning.
horrible, brother.
It's terrible. But so watching the fight, I did wonder what was going on with Javante because there were you can always tell when a power puncher pulls his punches, you can kind of always notice where they don't really follow through. And I was trying to figure out what was going on with him in that regard. Cruz is no slouch, and I think that's the thing people like tend to forget. Like Cruz is no slouch, and I knew he was someone that's been in the ring before that can go the distance in rounds. So Javante wasn't going to just knock him out and keep it pushing like in the early rounds where people were saying they were expecting him to go down in the fourth round or whatever. Like no, Cruz is a tough guy. He's got a strong jaw. He's very strong willed. So I knew that was going to be a long drawn out fight. The thing I give credit though to Javante is the fact that Javante hung in there because Javante, one of the knocks on him is that his fights don't ever be long. He'll always find a way to kind of get him out of the way, and so people used to really question about his guts and his will if there was a fighter that can take his punches and go the distance with him. And there were moments where you saw that Javante looked a little gassed. It looked like he had to, his legs looked like they got a little heavy on him. But for him to continue fighting, after he messed up his hand, that shows a lot of guts. And you got to credit fighters with that because when they mess up their hand, when they say it's messed up, they mean they broke their hand. They're not just saying like, oh, I hurt it or whatever. When they say that they hurt their hand, they broke their hand. So just understand that how painful that must be. There's no break in the time when they go to the corner, taking off the glove and shooting something in that hand to numb it. Like whatever that hand is in that glove, that's what it's going to be for the rest of the fight. So for him to finish that off, kudos to him. I want to see the Ryan Garcia fight versus Tank Davis. The only reason why I want to see it is because I want to see Tank Davis put Ryan Garcia in the floor. That's all. I'm
Put him in his
so
place.
I've never been so annoyed by a boxer the way I am of Ryan Garcia.
Well,
I've never.
before you keep saying that, he told Tank, you can't and you will not do what animals do when they poop on the floor. But this is a family show. I ain't gonna say it. You know what I'm saying?
There
You
you go.
can't and you will not do nothing. We all seen that today. You almost lost, and they set you up to look good.
Yeah, I just someone's got to do it, man. Even though some of the fights that he's had, when you see how they end up, it's like luck. It's really he get lucky, and I'm just like, you just need somebody that's just as bad as you are, just as fast as you are, to put you on your butt. And I'm praying that Tank does that. I want Tank to take it just to put him on his butt. I want him to feel it. I'm tired of Ryan Garcia, but unfortunately, in that division, that's going to be the ticket. You want to make the big money, you want to make the dollars, you got to fight him because he's the social media darling right now. So you have to take him on. But I'm rooting for Javante to do it. And as far as the Floyd Mayweather thing is concerned, let me tell you something. People can say what they want to say. Floyd Mayweather is one of, if not the richest fighter ever. If you can get me close to that, I'm going to do whatever you tell me to do because clearly he did something correct. So if you can tell me I can get close to that, then I'm gonna do what I gotta do. I'm not even gonna hesitate to take on whatever Floyd's got to say, whatever Floyd's got to talk about. I'm not even gonna hesitate on that because that's what you're supposed to do. Renee, you can go ahead and if you want to chime in real quick on your thought.
Yeah, no, those are some great points. I think the biggest thing is, and this has been actually a theme throughout the show today of like you've got more work to do. And I think that going 12 rounds, fighting through that hand injury, as you mentioned, Tristan, probably something's broken. To fight through that and to still win in a unanimous decision is huge. And right now, Tank is building. You know, you want him to be able to fight with the best. It's going to take time to get there. And I like that fact that he does have Floyd in his corner because, like you're saying, who else are you going to take advice from? You know, if you want to be the best, you want to be one of the top, you want to be the most one of the highest paid. You want to fight against the best. You want to win against the best. Who else should you be taking advice from than Floyd Money Mayweather? So I'm all for it. I think that he's moving in the right direction. I love the fact that it was one of the final events at the Staples Center before the name change. But I just think that for this fight, I definitely was expecting Javante Davis to win. I didn't watch it either. I was actually working. I was expecting him to win, but I wasn't expecting it to be so close. And I'm glad Isaac Cruz gave him a fight. I'm glad it went 12 rounds because you got to have those hard days, those gut checks, those checks of just kind of your backbone too, and how much are you willing to fight through and work through. If every fight is easy and you don't ever have any discomfort or anything to work through or challenge, that's one thing. But I like that Isaac Cruz gave him a challenge. He had a chance to prove himself. He had a chance to show his strength and his grittiness to be able to fight through that hand injury. And I think that with Floyd in his corner, there's going to be great things to come for Tank. So this is just another step in the right direction.
Hey,
Absolutely.
it's me. Stuff happens.
Hey,
Don't
welcome
judge
back.
me. Every show this happens to me. I gotta get. I already know what you're gonna say, Tristan, off the record. I'm working on it. Anyways, let's talk about some college basketball, people. Renee, that time clock. Am I getting closer?
You are, but we're good. We
Okay.
got a couple more
And
things.
my
We good.
timing is impeccable, baby. Anyways, college basketball. We start here in Maryland with some. There's some things that are the end of an era. I feel like I'm seeing the end of an era with this. And sometimes it can happen with a coach. Mark Turgeon, he's no longer with Maryland. Just months after signing a contract extension with the program, Maryland's men's basketball coach, Mark Turgeon, is out. The school announced that a mutual decision had been reached to part ways with the 11th year Terrapins coach. Turgeon finishes with a 226-116 record with the Terrapins. He was 105-79 in Big Ten play after the program's move from the ACC ahead of the 2014-15 season. He had 5 NCAA tournament appearances in his first 7 Big Ten seasons. The Terps were set to have perhaps their best seed under Turgeon in 2020 before the cancellation of that year's NCAA tournament due to COVID-19. The team finished atop the Big Ten in the regular season that year. After a series of conversations with Coach Turgeon, we agreed that a coaching change was the best move for Coach Turgeon in the Maryland men's basketball program. That was athletic director Damon Evans who said that in a statement. Danny Manning, a Kansas basketball legend and former head coach at Wake Forest, and Tulsa will take an interim coaching duties with Turgeon being out. Maryland is coming off a disappointing 17-14, 9-11 season. The team did reach the NCAA tournament as a number 10 seed, beating number 7 UConn in the first round before falling to number 5 Alabama in the round 32. Maryland opened the 2021-22 season at 3-0 before an upset loss to George Mason 71-66. After tight wins over mid-major opponents Hofstra and Richmond by 2 and 6 points respectively, Turgeon's team fell in back-to-back games with ACC opponents Louisville last Saturday and then Virginia Tech. Mark Turgeon no longer in. They're talking. They're trying to talk. Juan Dixon, but here we go with Juan Dixon got to get it done in Coppin first. You know what I'm saying? Work with this one first. But anyways, Mark Turgeon no longer the coach in the Terps.
It was definitely time. I think it's unfortunate because, as you mentioned, there's always a shoulda, coulda, woulda, the what ifs, the hypotheticals. What would have happened if the pandemic didn't shut down last season? If they had, had a chance of getting into the NCAA tournament, how far would they have gone? We don't know. And oh well, we're not going to know. But I think that was probably, honestly, probably one of the final straws of just like it's time for change because it seems like every time they're getting closer, there's something that happens. They're a top 25 team coming into the season. As you mentioned, they've been struggling. Even the wins that they did get to barely beat Richmond, barely beat Hofstra, lose to George Mason. It's unacceptable. That's not the expectation of Maryland basketball, especially since in the first years he did the program as a whole changed, and the success they had was getting there. They were turning a corner. Maryland was a top program in college basketball. So when you set the bar that high and you're not reaching that anymore, that's when it's time for a new voice. And I think that's the hardest part is that when is it time to make that change? So when you come into this season and you see, okay, you know what? We're not where we want to be. We're not getting the results we want. The team is kind of stagnant and stale in that sense. It's time for a change. Time for a new voice in the locker room. He'd been there over a decade. Honestly, for coaches, unless you are the top of the top, a Coach K, a Gino, your top coach, after about a decade, it's usually about time to start making moves for someone else to come in because there's only so much you can do. If your team's is not able to be a top 4 team, a top 5 team as a program like Maryland, they're going to start to look other places and find someone else that can do that. So, nah. It's hard because coaches get a lot of the blame for things going wrong, but it's been over a decade. This is not 1 or 2 years of this. It's been a while that we've seen him almost there. So it's time to bring in somebody else who can hopefully take them that next step.
I always say you need a Steve Kerr. We got the Mark Jackson. You need a Steve Kerr. Tristan.
There's always a time and space where the voice starts to become kind of deaf in your ear. Like it happens, and it's no shot at Turgeon. Turgeon gave us a lot of great memories over there in Maryland. Did a lot of great things for a lot of players and for that program. But sometimes, like Renee said, when it's time, it's time. And I felt it was time like 2 years ago, to be quite honest. So, you know, you go on, you move on. You need something fresh. You need something new. You need something innovative to get guys not only to play the ones that are there, but also recruiting. And recruiting is a major thing in all sports in college. Recruiting is the thing, and so you need someone that's going to be able to inspire these guys. I mean, inspire these kids, inspire the parents to want to try to get their kid to go to that school. And so with Turgeon, like Renee said, it was like always on the cusp. It was like they were right there, right there, right there, and something happened. So now you need to find when you go through that for 10 years, that's exhausting. That's really exhausting. It's almost like you almost want to, when I think about the Bills in the '90s. to go to the Super Bowl 4 times. You'd rather they never got there than to go 4 times and lose all 4 times. Those are the things where you're at the precipice of it and it falters. You're like, oh, come on. So to deal with that for 10 years, I mean, we there were talks of them being in the Elite Eight, being in the Final Four. For 10 years, you had this kind of conversation around this program, and for majority of those years, you underachieved. It was time for a fresh start.
Renee Paige Beckers out 6 to 8 weeks. UConn announces she will be sidelined for 6 to 8 weeks after her MRI showed a tibial plateau fracture. The reigning player of the year collapsed with 40 seconds left in the Huskies' 73-54 win over Notre Dame while dribbling the ball up the floor. She was carried off the Gamble Pavilion floor by two teammates. If we go off the record of what is today, they just lost for the first time since what, 2012 to an unranked team? That was crazy.
The changing of the times for women's basketball. Honestly, look, first of all, for Paige, anytime there's a knee injury for anybody, that always makes me nervous because knees. There are certain injuries that you just cannot mess around with. You can't take lightly. A fracture is honestly almost sometimes worse because it's not a clean injury, and the recovery process sometimes takes longer. It's not an easy recovery back because you find yourself rushing. Oh, I'm okay, and that 6 to 8 weeks becomes 5 or 6 weeks. She's rushing back. Then what? So it's hard because it is still very early in that sense. There's a lot of basketball left to be played, but you don't know how she's going to come back from this or when she's going to come back from this.
For sure.
And she's only a sophomore, obviously had an incredible season last year, very talented player, but you just wonder the long-term effects. How long, if you're UConn, you really just got to make sure you're not rushing her back. But I think overall, as you talk about their first loss to an unranked program, look, we see this in the NFL with the Chiefs. It's hard to be at the top year after year after year without people starting to catch up to you and figure you out. And for UConn women's basketball, that started obviously a couple years ago, but it's now trickling down into the regular season. We started seeing the change in championships. They're not winning every year in the NCAA tournament. There's other teams, Baylor, there's other teams that are winning, Stanford. But now we're seeing it trickle into the regular season where teams have them figured out. And also you have other programs that are recruiting with the idea that we're going to beat UConn. Don't go to UConn. Go to us and let's beat UConn. Like, that's where we're at right now. So it's been a dynasty in women's basketball for years. That stopped, obviously, in the last few years in terms of championships, but it's now trickling down. And honestly, we'll see overall, what will UConn women's basketball look like moving forward? They're obviously always going to be a top team, in my opinion, but how far will this go before we talk coaches changes? We talk, just a new voice. I don't know if Gino is going to ever leave, but it makes you wonder. It definitely makes you wonder. Obviously, even I'm going to take it a step further with the news that came out from Candace Parker and the women's national team talking about how there was that such a divide in the locker room and the issues there. This is not the time for things to be coming out around Gino not being a coach that welcomes everybody on top of the team losing and your best player getting injured. So I wouldn't be surprised if a year or so from now we're having a different conversation around UConn with a different voice in the locker room.
Woo! I'm gonna run down the last couple of games, guys. For NFL, the Washington football team, Tristan. This is more on them Sunday than it is on the Cowboys. We talked about the Cowboys, but if you can take the Washington football team out the Redskins, but are we going to take the Redskins out of the Washington football team and actually do something that shuts people up and shows them that at least we got something going on here? This is a big game for them Sunday. Anyway, but they beat the Raiders 17-15. Johnson, go ahead, 48-yard field goal with 37 seconds remaining. Hey, 2-point conversion, kick it, whatever you want to do. If the 2-point conversion would have worked, y'all would have been talking about John Harbaugh like he's the genius. Y'all need to stop this. It could go either way on a Sunday. Anyways, Ravens Steelers 19-20. Johnson, 8 receptions, 105 yards, 2 touchdowns. His name is Deontay. 49ers and Seahawks. Seahawks 30. 49ers 23. Russell Wilson 17-4. A career record versus San Francisco, including the playoffs. Most wins versus any opponent. Broncos, Chiefs, the Broncos and the Chiefs. The Chiefs beat the Broncos 22-9. Kansas City won 12 straight games versus Denver. Patriots beat the Bills. It doesn't matter what year we talking about. The Bills never gonna beat the Patriots. Anyways, 14-10. New England fewest pass attempts 3 and win by any team since week 3. Guess what year that was?
I don't know.
That's got to be
We weren't
19.
even born.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's got to be
1974.
pre-Brady, yeah,
Yeah.
1974.
1987. Oh, okay.
One last thing I want to talk to you about, Renee, because I know you got to go, right? I'm getting there, right? You are there. We are there. So this is it. What the hell is the crypto.com arena? Uh, that's not where Big Shot Rob shot a shot. That's not where Allen Iverson hopped over Tyronn Lue. That's not where Kobe did his thing. That's not where Shaq was the most dominant. That's no championship in there. That wasn't none of this. There wasn't even Blake Griffin. Crypto, what? The end of a freaking era when they took that sign down. It's I don't even, it ain't even cool to say crypto.com. The Staples Center was cool.
I don't even
What
know what to
the
call it.
hell?
I don't know.
Crypto.com Center, Crypto.com Center. Like, no, look, this is obviously the biggest deal in sports. The amount of money that was put into this is insane.
Yeah.
And it had to have been because, as you mentioned, you look at the history of the Lakers and of course the Clippers too. We don't even talk about them. But you look at the history of the Lakers,
Another LA team that
another
has
LA team we don't talk
another.
about. Um, it's sad. It's sad, and it just makes me wonder, where do we draw the line? While I understand it's a business at the end of the day, do you move the Staples Center? Like the Staples Center is it's like Madison Square Garden.
We didn't
If
move the
anybody
forum.
ever buys Madison Square Garden and trying to change the name, I would like to think that somebody would say no. Probably won't. They'll probably take that deal. But like, where do we separate business and just history?